Ne, senpai?
Na, elkezdjük az új story questet, ami állítólag a legszomorúbb és a eddigi egyik legbrutálisabb Archon quest lesz. Na hát kíváncsi leszek, meglátjuk. Nyilván ugye használom a kedves kis TikTokot, és azért ott egy-két dologba belefutottam. Nagy spoilerekben, nem amúgy. Úgyhogy nem tudom, hogy mit várhatok el ettől a story questtől, de állítólag tényleg nagyon, de nagyon szomorú lesz, meg elvileg az eddigi legjobb twisttel rendelkezik talán. Így azt írogatták az emberek. És nagyon nagy plot... Na, igen, erről beszélek. Ja, tehát állítólag nagyon brutális lett ez az Archon quest, úgyhogy... Ajaj.
What's happening? I'm fine, thanks.
Hát akkor majd hosszú streamnek nézzünk elébe, mert ma szeretném befejezni. Na szevasz, Bryce Lee!
Ah, good to see you two. Is there something you wish to see me about?
Yeah, what was with that earthquake just now?
Ah, that. The tremor didn't originate from the seafloor. In fact, it seems it came from the surface. Over the years of serving as the warden here, I have developed a sense for distinguishing between what occurs on the surface.
Furirána fogok-e nyitni? Először Bájzura fogok, és hogyha még marad idézésünk, akkor nyitunk Furinára is. Az a terv. Bájzut most jobban szeretném megszerezni. De lehet, hogy utána a quest után azt mondom, hogy mind a kettő kell.
Okay, seems we need to get back up to the surface and ask about what happened.
A massive whale.
Do you have any idea what that might be?
Ojaj,
Judging from your description,
kezdődik.
that cannot have occurred in any ordinary waters, but rather something like the primordial sea. A whale of that size and shape cannot usually be found in the waters of Teyvat. Therefore, we can only assume that child is presently immersed in primordial seawater.
Immersed in primordial seawater? But how? And is he okay?
Most people wouldn't be capable of entering in the first place. I'm not completely sure how he could have gotten there myself. Yes, what is it?
Ah, right! Paimon felt it too! We asked the Duke and he said it wasn't from underwater, so we figured you might know something about it.
It turns out that I have just received a report about this particular matter.
Meglátjuk, Merc, meglátjuk.
That's exactly what I was busy with a moment ago.
Kíváncsi vagyok.
The source of the tremor was here on the surface near Poisson. After the shaking stopped, the water levels in the Poisson area rose at an alarming rate.
The water levels rose? Oh no! What about all the people there?
Fortunately, the water levels only rose for a short period of time and have already returned to normal now. However, I still have a bad feeling about the whole phenomenon. If the change in water levels is connected with the leaking primordial seawater, then the situation in Poisson may be much worse than it appears.
Na, akkor azt hiszem most megyünk Poissonba.
Right? We need to go check on her!
I would also like to go
Ne,
there as soon
Navia!
as possible, but I'm afraid I
Édesem,
can't leave
mi
just yet.
történt? Semmi nem
We must
történt vele, ugye?
immediately formulate disaster prevention plans for the surrounding coastal areas to avoid potential catastrophes. I'll have to ask you two to go to Poisson first. I'll meet you there to check on the situation once I finish things here.
There's no time to lose! Let's get going!
Please be careful.
What happened here?
Hoppá, azt hiszem elöntött mindent a víz.
Navia should be around here, right? We need to make sure she's still... Paimon means we need to check on her.
My Desiree!
Mi történt Desirével?
Oh, he looks pretty sad.
My leg. How could this have happened? It hurts.
Just hang in there. Help is on the way. You can hold my hand if it makes you feel better.
Ajaj. Na nehogy már valami történne a Viával is, mert akkor megőrülök. Akkor megőrülök. Nem, ott van. Nincs baja. Oké. Hú.
Oh, it's Navia. She's over there.
Ajaj. Mi történt?
You're here.
Itt vagyunk. Mondjad.
We heard there was a situation in Poisson, so we came as quickly as we could.
Yes. As you can see, the water level suddenly rose. It caused quite the disturbance, in fact. I'm sorry. Where were we?
The situation in Poisson?
Ah, right. Allow me to explain. A little earlier, we suddenly heard a loud noise. At first, everyone thought that something might have exploded in the waterways. But before we knew it, water started pouring out from everywhere. The rushing water seemed a little odd, almost like the unique color of primordial seawater. Some people didn't realize the danger and thought it was just ordinary water, leaking from somewhere. Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape.
Ah!
As the water levels rose, they suddenly disappeared.
Ooh.
They were all dissolved. Those who realized what was happening started to flee in a panic, desperately trying to get to higher ground. Many were injured in the stampede, and some people fell from significant heights. The Spina di Rosula initiated rescue operations as quickly as possible, but there have been a lot of casualties. Fortunately, the water began to recede after some time, and the chaos came to an end. The water that flooded the area contained primordial seawater, so the lower levels of Poisson are still hazardous. To ensure everyone's safety, I've asked the people there to leave as soon as possible. No one knows if this could happen again. All we can do for now is try our best to help evacuate the residents. We still haven't completed the head count, but we'll have some numbers soon.
How awful. And all of this just came out of nowhere.
It was quite frightening indeed. I only wish that everything that just happened was a bad dream.
Is there any way we can help, Navia?
Thank you for being so willing to help in a moment of crisis like this. You don't know how much it means to me. I really can't express how grateful I am.
Don't say that, Navia. That's what friends are for.
Ajaj. Azt hiszem őket lekapta a víz.
The wounded are being tended to, and we finished a preliminary head count. More support has just arrived, so I suppose I finally have a moment to focus on my own matters. Of course, we should remain ready for anything, and continue doing our best to rescue others. I'll be sure to have everyone at the Spina di Rosula ready to render assistance. Traveler, Paimon, would you two accompany me to my father's grave for a moment?
Huh? Right now?
Thank you.
Ajaj.
Not a lot of people here, huh?
Well, given the time of day and the whole situation in Poisson, Paimon doesn't think there'd be a ton of people here visiting graves.
Right. That's how things are now. The living are so exhausted that they've no strength to spare any words for the dead.
Navia? Navia, what's wrong?
Sorry. I just... Malus and Silver, they won't ever come back here again. What should I do, Papa?
Huh? What happened to them?
Gondoltam.
Everyone agreed on the rescue plan, but still, I was the one who initiated it. They were helping evacuate the residents, but they couldn't leave in time, and they were caught in the seawater.
What should we do?
I've known them for so long, and I know they weren't afraid. But I could at least hold a funeral for my father, and I know where he rests. But as for Malus and Silver, they're just gone. I just can't.
That makes sense. In that case, Could I be buried on his other side?
Csóri Navia.
The two of us could certainly be considered Master's closest companions, no?
Nem áll.
Personally, I
Most
believe
konkrétan
you fill those
mindenkit
shoes just fine.
elvesztett. Mindenkit.
Why are you bringing this up all of a sudden? Seriously. All right.
És
I'll
még a
remember
kívánságokat se
your
tudja
request.
teljesíteni.
But I really prefer not to talk about this stuff. And what do you mean by saving me a trip? I'd make the journey even if I had to visit you two somewhere else. I'd promised to let them rest in peace here. But here I am breaking that promise. I'm sorry for letting you see me in a mess like this. I don't usually cry, really.
Csórikám.
How to help you feel better. But, well, she understands how you feel.
By the way, you can have a look at this. It's a list of victims from the incident that took place here.
Obena, Khan, Burnett, Giverny, Francine, Karina,
Konkrétan
Daisy Ray,
ők voltak Navi a családja, baszki. Hát az öreg nevelte föl, a Melus.
Hassan, as well
Mondhatni.
as Malus and Silver.
Basszus.
Everyone else is safe. But still,
It's okay. I know what you're thinking. And you're right. I'll remember your words.
oh, really?
Seems you've become more eloquent in the
Na.
time since we last met.
Te hiányoztál innen. Mit keresel itt?
The knave? What are you doing here?
Megtöri
Going
itt
well on
a
your side?
szomorúságot.
Yes, my people are carrying out the mission according to your request. All the residents of Poisson have been evacuated, and we're preparing to relocate them to higher ground.
Ja, hogy ő segített
As for
nekünk?
these supplies, we have everything taken care of. There is no need to worry.
Thank you very much. Don't say that. You and your subordinates did everything you could.
Nem tudom.
As Paimon said, Malus and Silver didn't choose to sacrifice
Én még mindig nem
themselves for
gondolom,
any
hogy-
specific person. And they weren't the price
Hogy a
paid
név
for
olyan
our
jó
salvation.
fej.
They
Bennem színjúra akkora sebet hagyott,
We'll just...
vagy rajtam akkora sebet hagyott, hogy még mindig nem gyógyult be.
This isn't right.
És én nem tudom megszeretni így az új Harbingereket. Meg ott volt ugye Sumeruba a doktor?
That is a clever and useful
Azt hiszem a
conversation
doktor volt ott?
which I
Vagy melyik
do
volt
like to
ott?
use when necessary.
Na mindegy, az
There's no
ottani
need
fatui,
today.
az se volt
It would not
szimpi.
hurt to have Miss Navia listening in.
I can't just
Most
stay
egy picit
back.
lemaradtam. Hova megyünk?
Myself
Milyen
into a
ruinokhoz
chair by
megyünk?
the roadside
Miért
and do
megyünk oda?
nothing. There's no point in being depressed while we still have a disaster on our hands. As my father's successor, I must live up to the hopes he had.
Nekem pont egy Skara volt szimpatikus eddig,
I'm
egyedül,
also doing this
a
for
fatuik
myself.
közül.
I need
Ő neki a
something,
háttérsztoria
a distraction to keep my mind off Malus and Silver.
nagyon szomorú. Nagyon meghatott a sztoria.
Since you put it that way, I have no objections. What do you say, traveler? All right. The ruins are to the south of Poisson. Here's the map.
Okay, the three of us will handle it. Come on, let's head.
Jön Navia velünk! Juhú! Na, hova megyünk? Aha.
Watch it. The floor here isn't safe.
Most megijedtem egy kicsit, hogy hova az Istenbe fogok leesni.
This place has also been contaminated by primordial seawater.
Navia, nehogy hozzáérjél nekem.
And a lot of it, too. A Fontanian would most likely dissolve the moment they fell in.
Right. You can't go down if there's primordial seawater. It's too dangerous and it won't be any help for you to just stay here.
Most eddig ugye Sumeru volt a legnagyobb terület.
Don't get by my wrong.
Most azért Fontaine se olyan pici. Ugye Liu se olyan pici, már így kezünkkel együtt.
You're right.
De még
I can't
mindegyikhez
do anything
jön
in this situation.
plusz expansion terület.
I'll leave this to you.
Még Mondstadthoz is fog jönni. De elvileg ez lesz a legnagyobb.
Oh no, it's a dead end.
Most növülettel hozzáérhetek ehhez a vízhez amúgy?
From the side.
Mi történik akkor, hogyha hozzáérek növülettel? Aha. És hogyha nem növülettel érek hozzá? Akkor is. Oké. Oké. Tetszik, amit látok. Milyen rohadt jól néz már ki. Anyád. De meg még a kamera is... milyen fasza. Mi ez a hely?
Wait, there's something wrong with this bridge.
Puti! Gyerünk, Navia! Na jó, persze! Hagyjuk már! Anyuval nem történhet semmi, jó? Csókolom! Halló? Nem. Na jó, nem.
Demoiselle, what are you doing here by yourself? Would you be standing here till dark if I hadn't come to get you?
Nem.
Maybe she just wants some
Lumin
time to herself.
megmentette. Lumin megmentette.
If anyone in need reached out to you for help,
Nem ők haltak meg mind amúgy?
not only you, but your butler, your subordinates, nearly everyone in the Spina di Rasula fought for the well-being of those in Poisson.
Please do not mistake her actions.
Nézd meg, ők védik meg már megint.
Really? As an individual, you say? Now,
Így
I
van,
speak
János,
for
így van.
everyone. Our opinion is consistent. Navia should stay. We and Navia are one.
And you would call this justice?
Don't be afraid, and don't admit guilt. We will protect you to the very end.
Absurd! Who are you to say that she cannot be judged?
Us. After all that happened, she should not be left alone in Poisson.
What are you saying?
No more excuses.
She says we're jealous. Jealous? How could she possibly be an independent individual?
What's with these people?
Who's jealous of her?
She belongs to us.
Miss Navia.
Hoppá! Na, ki jelent meg?
Monsieur Neuvillette!
Go on now, demoiselle. This is your only chance to leave this place. What, can't bear to leave us behind or something?
Malus.
My apologies. I couldn't resist making one little joke once I realized that this shall be our last goodbye.
Malus. Silver.
Quickly, you must come now.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
Jó, ez valószínűleg csak a fejébe játszódott le, legalább el tudott tőlük köszönni. Megjött növi papa! A híró!
I must have been dreaming.
Paimon could give you a hug.
Egyelek meg Paimon.
Exploring suffered a cave-in.
Did you say Oceanids? You mean like what happened with Vaché?
Tessék, Ákos, megkaptad a válaszod. Óceánidok voltak mind, mert aki ugye egyszer szétfoszlik a víz miatt, úgymond, a Primal DLC miatt, azokból óceánid lesz. És ugye most majdnem beleesett a vízbe, vagy hát igazából akkor beleesett a vízbe Navia is, és őnek is szét kellett volna olvadnia, de Malus és Silver megmentették. És mivel ők visszatartották úgymond a Primal DLC-t, ezért Növület meg tudta menteni Naviát. Baszki! Oh! Én erre nem állok készen.
Alright! Another one joins the party! Let's get going then!
Imádom, amilyen területeket meg tudnak alkotni amúgy itt a Genshinbe. És ez még csak tovább fog fejlődni. Minden egyes patch-el egyre is... Hát igen, egyre szebbek. Szemetkápráztatóak. Nagyon durva. Ne kérdezzétek meg, hogy miért ide megyek.
Watch your step!
Most ezt lehet, hogy elcsesztem, ugye? A francba. Ne. Jó, nem csesztem el, ide kellett följönni. Oké. Jók vagyunk. Nyugi, növi papa velünk van. Majdnem visszamentem, de csak majdnem.
Right now, right here, right now.
As one with wind and cloud, one with nature.
Silence! The tides beckon.
Á, növület nagyon durva. Növület nagyon durva. Őt szívesen kicéhatoznám. Szívesen.
This is the place. There should not be any other hidden spaces in the vicinity.
The path sure had some twists and turns, but it turns out that this place isn't actually that big.
Új. Story time.
Slates. It seems like they were put here as an offering. Could we take them down and have a look?
Perhaps we should just leave them be for now.
Mi?
Say what?
It feels like someone left these slates and these words here for a purpose. But does he mean that Fontaine should be destroyed?
That would fit the circumstances dictated by the prophecy, yes. Indeed, the slate's contents correspond to it. Take the second slate, for example.
There's a person kneeling here. She seems so dedicated. And there's a whole bunch of other people behind her doing the same.
Ez olyan, mint hogyha...
What is this?
Ez olyan, mint hogy a Celestiát
in the sky?
istenítenék most itt jelenleg, vagy ahhoz imádkoznának. Oké?
And is that Lady Farina
Ez meg itt Furina?
in that image? Did the Hydro Archon fall into the water?
And is that a ring of people around her? Paimon doesn't quite get it. Are they all in the water?
Kicsit zavaros a dolog. Nem mondom, hogy nem.
I know this one. This exactly matches the content of the prophecy.
Ott meg éppen Furina ül és sír. Oké. Ez a profécia, vagy nem?
Only the Hydro Archon will remain, weeping on her throne.
Kirázott a hideg. Kirázott a hideg!
More information should be hidden in these slates, but I fear I cannot easily uncover it, most likely due to us missing the first slate. I am very sorry.
Don't blame yourself, Monsieur Neuvillette. Deciphering ancient stone slates isn't one of your duties.
Ooh, Paimon's getting the chills just looking at these slates.
Így van, Paimon, én is.
This says that it's the history of the future, right? That means the prophecy's sure to come true.
I really hope it doesn't mean that.
A sorrendje a harmadik és a negyedik képnek az nem jó.
Right. If the images are in chronological order, shouldn't the fourth, the waters drowning Fontaine, come before the third, where the Hydro Archon herself falls into the water?
Oké.
And yet the order is reversed here.
Akkor mi van, ha megcseréljük? Na, ez egy jó kérdés, hogy milyen hibát követtek el az emberek, hogy ott...
If we go by timing, Lady Farina only emerges in the third image. That means that the person in the second image might be the previous Hydro Archon.
Akkor azt hiszem, megyünk Furinával találkozni. Oké.
You still have energy for that, Navia? Paimon's already beat.
Just head back to the Fleuve Cendre and have a rest then. Thanks for keeping me company all this time.
I'll depart as well. Thanks for your hard work today. Rest well, everyone. Traveler, I will go talk to Farina tomorrow morning to ask about the stone slates. I'm sure that you're concerned about this matter as well. If you have time, drop by my office. I will share the results of our discussion with you.
Are you really gonna talk to her about this directly? Will that be a problem? Paimon's getting a little scared now that it's come to this.
She has long been harboring secrets and will not give them up easily, which makes it all the more my duty to ensure that she understands the present situation.
All right, then. You're probably the best person to talk to her anyway.
I will be carefully considering my words tonight.
Traveler, Paimon, our safe house at the Fluvsandra is always open to you, as ever. So please don't think you're an imposition.
Na, kíváncsi leszek, hogy itt a beszélgetés alatt mik fognak kiderülni. Ne, itt van! Mit keres itt? Áj, ne! Tovább húzzák az agyamat! Mit keresel itt? Miért? Miért? Ah! Az enyém leszel? Akkor is az enyém leszel egyszer. A francba! Nem á!
Oh, that voice. Is that who I think it is?
Huh?
It's you two. What are you doing in Fontaine?
Te mit keresel itt, anyám? Á, de jó újra látni őt.
Wow! Imagine including a boast in your name. Wait, are you gonna have to put that into your genealogy as well?
I reckon so. In any case, I'd give my disciple a name like this as well, if I were to take one. Astromancer Barbeloth Trismegistus.
Whoa, that's a long one. Does it also mean great or something?
My name means Mona the Great Astrologist. As for the old hag, hers is...
Old hag?
the thrice as great scholar of the stars. Just take it as a title specific to astrologists.
Thrice as great? That's so petty.
That's just how she is. She used to call herself Magistus, actually, but when she took me in, she changed her name to Trismegistus.
Talk about excessive.
Magistus is thus the calling card of our school, so to speak, which makes it about the same as a surname. It's all right if you don't get it. You can look into it further should you need to study astrology more deeply.
Triple appetite Paimon.
Terrible! But anyway, you're not Fontanian, are you, Mona? You're from Mondstadt, right?
Well, I was born in Mondstadt, yes. My parents migrated to Dorman Port, and I traveled with the old hag for a while, after which I settled down in Mondstadt City.
Oh, that's a good thing then. At least we know you won't be dissolved by Fontaine's waters.
Meg, hogy az én szívemet összetörjék, így van.
Speaking of that,
Már darabokban van. Most ragaszgatom össze éppen.
here in Fontaine, right?
Ajaj. What's happening? Hello?
Like I said, I've already explained everything.
And yet the problem has not been properly solved. There is little space for excuses between us. It is not my intention to offend you, but please, tell me where you stand. You are the Hydro Archon Focalor, are you not? Look at this. This is a list of the victims from the recent Poisson incident.
You mean... they're all...
Igen. Mindenki meghalt, anyám.
We did not arrive in time to avert this disaster, and I will not have it happen again. The second of these slates depicts the previous Hydro Archon Egeria kneeling before a floating island in the sky, as if confessing something. Do you know nothing of this either?
I don't. I've never seen such slates.
I'll ask you again. Do you really have no information regarding the previous Archon? My deciphering of the slates indicates that the Hydro Archon Egeria once had to confess to, or apologize for, a certain sin.
Á, végig kiráz a hideg.
Know about it.
Úristen.
All gods don't have the same secrets, you know. She was herself and I'm me. Is it really so strange that I know nothing? I understand your concerns, but I'm sorry. I just don't have anything to tell you.
Hát még ezek után se lett szimpatikusabbat, kis csaj.
Discuss this matter again. Oh, the opera's about to start. Toodles!
Normally, people will only reveal the truth when standing trial. Perhaps we must have the Hydro Archon experience just such a scenario.
Ajaj.
But Farina's seen so many trials, and she's really good at dodging questions. How do we make sure that she won't just slip away at the first chance she gets?
Akkor azért fog részt venni a korton. Oké. Így próbáljuk meg belőle majd kiszedni a választ. Most kiről van szó? Ha? Ki fog segíteni?
Well, that's everyone, huh? Speaking of which, it was pretty smart of you to think of hiding here.
Poisson was just involved in a disaster, so it's presently devoid of people. That naturally makes it the best choice.
And here you are drinking tea like it's the most natural thing in the world, huh?
That's what families should do. Sit and enjoy a leisurely time together.
It's nice.
Hát nem pont Linre meg Linetre gondoltam.
Care for a cup? That was a little long.
Chlorine is itt van.
You might be right.
És akkor hol van Wriothesley? Még annyi lehetőség van itt sztorira, és kitolni maga a játékot, mint az állat. Nagyon deep itt a lore. Nagyon deep.
Yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag.
És kicsoda
I'll try
Alice?
again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Mondjuk ő is úgy néz ki, mint egy witch amúgy. Linek a tesója? Kli anyja? Aha. Látok róla így fanártokat, meg képeket.
Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost. But I've never met her, and if she were still alive, she'd be... well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
Whoa.
Szóval még öregek is. Sok mindent láthattak. Meg sok mindenről tudhatnak. Fú, de érdekes sztori szál lenne róluk. De jó lenne. Remélem ezt a lehetőséget nem hagyják ki. Mi Hoyoék. És őket elmagyarázzák, lesz egy nagyobb patch róluk. Lehet, hogy itt most a sztorihoz sok minden nem tettek hozzá, így az, hogy Mona megjelent, meg ez a mágus csoport, de azért örülök neki, hogy ezt belerakták. Lehet, hogy csak időhúzásnak tették bele, de nekem ez is rohadt érdekes volt. Na, itt van. Most egyszer igazad volt, Paimon.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Farina.
Minek játsza így meg magát?
The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying to process it. Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Disturbing my enjoyment of the art. They even dare to tout their Archon. I must teach them a lesson. I can just imagine their twisted and frustrated faces once they realize that I'm nowhere to be found. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Marche Chaussee Phantom are freaking out right next to them too. Of course not.
Hey, there she is. The Hydro Archon's over there.
Aye, aye.
Quick, after her.
Paimon's exhausted.
No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they display.
You're right. Yep, that's a good girl.
Ajaj. Megint a víz.
What's happening? The ground's shaking.
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson.
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Neverlette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this—
Yeah, I hope you're right, but the people of Poisson— I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Teyvat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free. Share my burden. That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
Na! Sztori! Gyerünk, Furina! Mondjál mindent! Köpd ki! Ajaj! Jaj, hogy ez volt a csapda! 200 IQ! Ne! De mi erről nem is tudtunk! Na most már Bibernünk se fog megbízni a Furina.
So, this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stakes. Do not forget, however, that I am Focalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself.
Hát, ha meg is tette anyám.
I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
Applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eyes. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin!
Na, erre most nagyon kíváncsi leszek.
Just think of it as a refresher, all right?
Nem szeretem ezt.
The Hydro Archon in the very first duels you took part in at the Opera House. That's one for the history books, all right. I didn't think that you'd wind up getting to the bottom of the case I'd been following all this time.
Szóval ugye így győztük le az Archont, ugye amikor Linit megvádolták. Itt ugye ez a Vasés storyline. Itt volt az ugye, hogy Childot meggyanúsították, de ugye közben még növület se értett egyet a gépezettel, de aztán végül ugye hibásnak találták. Találkoztunk a névvel.
The fortress of Meripede was almost destroyed in a single day. That I didn't witness that scene personally will always be a source of professional regret, I think.
Ugye itt az, amikor Növület megállította a Primal DLC Watert.
According to Monsieur Neuvillette, both Child and that whale should have been in the primordial sea at that time.
Igen, ugye, hogy Childot láttuk a Primal DLC-ben.
I lost my awesome friend Navia. To be honest,
ugye az, hogy most majdnem beleesett a vízbe Navia. Ez meg ugye akkor a mágus csoportból a nő, akivel beszéltünk. Oké.
Lady Farina's a fraud?
Azzal gyanúsítjuk, hogy nem ő az Archon?
We were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted.
Hoppá!
Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah. Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Farina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's
És akkor most megjelenne Zongli és megmondaná, hogy nem te vagy a Hydroarchon.
What do you say to that?
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
És eszembe jutott a TikTokon, ami most a csapból is az folyik, ahogyan növület énekli ezt a pár szót.
I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium!
Azért eléggé kemény meggyanúsítás, öcsém. Furinával szemben.
Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you, after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
Ajaj. Ajajaj. Na, Furina.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Nem fog hozzáérni.
To tell her that, but refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
Hoppá! Bam! Nem aprózd el. Ajaj. Oké.
I'm fine. Look at me, everyone. My hand is still here. I haven't been dissolved. Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon. I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water. Really, was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
Miss Siegeween? If you are present, Miss Siegeween, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegeween? After all, on the off chance that something entirely
Át lett verve.
unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Furina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could have...
I can't believe... You...
Ajaj. Most már azért kezdem megsajnálni Csórit.
We shall now turn to the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
Az a hülye TikTok.
According to the judgment of the oratrice mécanique d'analyse cardinale, Furina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the oratrice's verdict?
No, the oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
Ajaj.
The only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Yeah, even Fache wasn't sentenced to death by the oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances.
Olyan, mint hogyha valaki irányítaná ezt a hülye oratrice, de komolyan.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Is that the first prophecy slate?
Oké. Lássuk.
Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late? Oh no. Father will be disappointed in me.
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate.
Na, lássuk! Lássuk!
Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing.
Mi van az első kőtáblán?
You to come here and confirm their contents.
Previous Hydro Archon releasing her divine power, turning oceanites into human beings. Aha!
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Furina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember.
Köszi, Paimon. Biztos hatalmas segítség leszel.
The
prophecy from the stone slates found its way into society. But not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take... The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light.
But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion.
Na
Now
nézzük!
that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within.
Nézzük!
If everything goes well,
Mutasd
we
nevület!
shall finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
Well? Did you get it?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontanians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land.
Okay.
The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontanians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
Does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct.
Igen.
A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate.
Everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy
Szóval
foretold.
nagyon jól csináltuk.
So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
That eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come.
De jó.
As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
A pálna és child. Így
It was
van.
both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
Mi történik? Ajaj! Itt a bálna! Jesus! Gyerünk, növület! Hát ez nem jött be. Nem áll, hogy növület se tudja megállítani, mi a fene? Menj már! Ajaj! Child! Juhu! Gyerünk, Child! Mi a fene? Ez de menő volt. Visszatért! Visszatért! Child! Jaj ne, visszaesik. Mi a fene? Miért esel vissza? Mert már közel járunk az igazsághoz.
It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels.
Szóval Child visszatartotta egész eddig, ameddig tudta.
We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway,
De visszaesett.
now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does not fall? Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Teyvat's future.
Valamit még rejteget Furina. Azt ki kell deríteni, hogy mi az, amit nem mondott el nekünk Furina. És most mi van? Halló?
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Mi a fene? Csóri! Esküszöm, már megsajnáltam. Gyerünk, Lumin! Hogy mi? Na várj, az az első hidro Archon? Vagy az... Na várj. Kiderül mi... Hello? Ez Furina. Vagy nem?
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
Nem, ez nem Furina. Okay.
The sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well
Most nagyon
that the prophecy
koncentrálok.
would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Furina.
Oh!
Joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Furina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles.
Na várjál! Ő az eredeti Hydro Archon, ő a, hogy mondjam, az isteni jelkép, és akkor akit mi eddig Furinaként láttunk, ő csak egy test az istenség erő nélkül. Ugye? Vagy nem? Vagy valami ilyesmi?
Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Furina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy.
Na, erre gondoltam, igen. Köszi.
So long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, She was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
Kirázott a hideg. Szerencsétlen.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful. Our future may yet be bright after all.
Csórinak 500 éven keresztül meg kellett játszania magát.
Best follow this flow and restart my accession speech.
Lady Farina, it's like a dream being able to speak with you up close like this. I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you was Madame Dioteria, almost 20 generations ago.
And what a fine family yours is indeed. It brings me great joy to meet such a
Hát ebben mindenki beleőrült volna, hallod.
descendant of a line most ardent.
Szerencsétlen.
Really now? I didn't even notice. This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion is the waters, can I?
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power, then.
Perhaps I reached it long ago. I want to tell someone, anyone, about this. I've conducted so many...
Azért milyen durva már, hogy még növületnek sem mondta el ennyi idő alatt. És ezt akarta neki elmondani. És ezt akarta Luminnak elmondani. Baszki.
That's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty alone.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, you can still choose to confide in someone.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well.
Milyen kegyetlen.
Let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been doomed to the most tragic fate.
It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
Mi a franc?
Am I right?
And then I became one with the oratories, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem so, wouldn't it? Alas, your understanding of this device still lacks sufficient depth. In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a device created to kill the god of justice.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the oratories take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the oratories. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide power to Fontaine.
Na bakker!
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
All you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you?
You are a devious one, Fussalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
Jól kitalálta.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Nervalette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Most megtörtént? Ne. Ne. Ne.
I, Iudex Neuvillette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Nincsenek szavaim.
Was that bright light?
De akkor most ennyi, nincs Hydro Archon tulajdonképpen? Mert most akkor a Gnózis visszakapta, ugye, növület.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
De Furina, mint a test, ő még akkor él.
Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the primordial sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry.
A Furina csak ember, értem, tehát most akkor lényegében az Archon meghalt. De most akkor idézőjelesen az Archon, mivel az eredeti erejét visszakapta, ugye növű lett. Most akkor lényegében ő vette át ugye az Archon helyét. Oké, ő nem Archon. De durva volt, öcsém.
Its name is the all-devouring narwhal.
All-devouring narwhal.
The hour of execution has come.
Baszki! Gyere, bálna!
Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together.
Vízzel tudom sebezni? Nem immunis rá?
I can feel its sorrow turning into hostility.
Nem immunis. Angyú nem nagyon sebzem, úgyhogy akkor azért van rá rezisztje. Lehet nem ezzel a csapattal kellett volna bejönnöm, na mindegy.
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility, and a chance will present itself.
Áú! Nem áll! Ej, növi, mire föltöltöd magad, emegy. Amúgy rohadt menő ez a bálna, igen. Mi történt? Jesus! Ez valami új enemy, hagyjuk már, mi van veletek? Hülye vagy? Ha majdnem megölt kapásból. Mi ez a zene? Mi ez a zene? Be sanctified, okay?
Right here, right?
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Emerge. Right here.
As one with wind and cloud. Into the wind.
Az baj! Az baj!
Right now, emerge.
One with nature.
Silence!
Jó van, azért most már kapta.
Right now, right here.
Settle down.
És most jön Child! És most jön Child! Vagy nem? Még nem. Gyerünk, növi! Hosszú! Ez még nem ennyi volt. Hello? Kirk? Mi van?
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but...
Hold up! Hold up! Mi? Csak úgy eltüntette Childot. Oké, ő a Child mestere. Azt tudjuk. Rohadt jól néz ki a karakter. De mit csinált a bálnával? Meg miért? Meg miért az ő dolga lett ez volna? Ő Celestiából van, vagy honnan? Válaszokat akarok! Nagyon durva.
It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime.
Master's pet?
Actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a blunder. I suppose I'll have to swing my sword 3 million times as penance.
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, right?
Skirk.
It's just like he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak.
Milyen durván néz ki!
But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world.
Power from beyond this world.
So you may speak to me as equals.
Mi?
I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. The only thing that creature has going for it is its looks. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master. Wait, is that right?
Oh, right. So you don't know him.
Him?
Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
Google? Ki ez a Surtology? Surtology is the name of the bright sword or flame wielded by the fire Jotun Surtur from Norse mythology. What the fuck? Mi a szent szar? Tehát még akkor a végén kiderül, hogy vannak hatalmasabb karakterek is, mint oké, az Archonoknál oké, tudjuk, hogy vannak. Például a Heavenly Principle is. De, hogy még van egy ilyen másik alak is, mi a fene? Mi a fene?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
Még azt a nevet csalódtam, hogy The Fowl. Meg amit most írtál, Mörs, azt se tudom, hogy az kicsoda. Rinedottir. Várjál, ő, aki ugye már... na, mi az Isten? Albédónak a megalkotója. Rinedottir, also known as Gold. Tehát akkor... Oké. He's a researcher from Kandria and practitioner of the art of Chemia. Aha. Known for a masterpiece Durin. Ki az a Durin? És Albedo. He is also a member of the Hexen Circle. Így van. Durin was a shadow dragon created by the alchemist Gold. 500 years ago, during the cataclysm, he invaded Mondstadt and was slain by the might of Dwalin. His corpse fell over the mountain of blah blah blah. thereafter leading the mountain to become known as Dragon Spine. Durin's blood was highly toxic and contained power from the abyss. This blood was one of the catalysts that led to Dvalin. Aha. Így van, Durin a sárkány, aki megfertőzte Dvalint, és ugye a teremtménye... De várjál! Ez a Rinedottir akkor nem tagja a Fatuinak. Én azt hittem, hogy ő tagja a Fatuinak, de nem. Akkor ez a mágus csoport, ez még nagyobb cucc lesz, mint a Fatui pölő? Wow! Wow! És ők hol vannak? Csókolom! Ők hol vannak?
The foul?
Still nothing? Well, how about the visionary? Vetterfalnir then? Or Gold Rhine-daughter?
Vetfalnir. Na, őrá is rágooglizunk gyorsan. Vetfalnir. Milyen durva már, hogy... Tehát, hogy... Várjál, mert ezek a nevek, amiket itt most mondanak, Albedo megalkotója, Skirtnek a mestere, meg akkor most ez a másik is, ezek mind északi mitológiai karakterekről íródtak. Tehát például ez a, hogy hívják, Vetfalnir, azt írja, hogy in Norse mythology, Vernalfir is a hawk sitting between the eyes of an unnamed eagle perched atop the word tree Yggdrasil. Hát azt a rohadt. Komolyan mondom, el kell kezdenem beleásni magam jobban a lore-ba. Mert ez rohadt érdekes ez az egész. És hogy ilyen deep legyen, nem gondoltam volna. Vagy se tudtam, hogy deep a sztoria a Genshinnek, de hogy ennyire? Durin és Dvalin ők meg törpök, jaja. Azért nagyon durva.
Ooh, that one we've heard. Rhine-daughter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either.
To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know.
But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rhine-daughter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait, didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos.
Aye, aye.
In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
Hát ez rohadt jó.
What?
Tehát akkor megvalósult a profécia, király.
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly principles.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Furina will remain, weeping on her throne.
Ne, itt van! Meg... a profécia!
The sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Most mi a szar történik? Nem változnak vissza, haló! És jön növület? Nem. Ez az operaház. Ja nem. Á, ez a börtön. Ja igen, a hajó, amit épített Bryce Lee. Erre az esetre, hogyha a profécia megvalósul.
Look! The water's receding!
És akkor most ők miért nem változtak vissza?
It's a miracle! We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
És itt jön Furina. Gyakorlatilag az történt, hogy növület, mivel visszanyerte teljes erejét, így teljes mértékben hatalma van a víz és a hidroelem fölött, tehát kiszedte az emberek testéből a primordial water-t. És akkor lényegében akkor most teljes embereket teremtett. Én már az elején megmondtam, hogy növület lesz az új Archonunk. Én már az elején megmondtam. Tehát amikor növület fölrepült és mondta, hogy akkor meg van bocsátva a bűnük a fonténieknek, akkor kiszedte belőlük a primordial water-t. Most már összerakom a képet lassan, oké. És most akkor mi van Furinával? Hova tűnt Furina? Esküszöm, nagyon megsajnáltam Csórit. Most akkor az ereje még mindig megvan neki? Vagy akkor a gnózisszal azt is feladta?
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of mimics. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood, after the fashion in which life was first brought into being on this planet. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the primordial sea.
Fossilor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Fossilor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn Oceanids into real people too!
Olyan könnyen feladják az erejüket az emberek.
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Na, mit kérdezzünk? About the initial verdict that was passed on
I have
child.
investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring narwhal. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. At most, he would
Ezt már hallottam. Ezt ne spoilereztem magamnak.
As for the judgment passed by the oratrice during the trial, whether it was due to that liability by association, or Fossilor deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off, I cannot say.
Guess Focalor had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became real humans. Hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got another question. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans, were the children they had also transformed Oceanids?
Life has always flowed like water. Do you recall how Fontanians would often come to the Fountain of Lucine to pray for children?
Yeah, Lynette said the fountain is where all the waters in Fontaine converge.
In truth, even those couples did not know that such prayers were no mere custom, but instead a form of ritual. Those Oceanids who were blessed within the spring water would later descend as new humans in the coming months.
Aha.
Sorta gets it now. Either way.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Na, Fontaine's future.
About that. Risley said Farina has already left. What's that all about?
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalor's words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired and needed to
Aj, de sajnálom.
packed her things and moved out of the Opera House, not unlike how an ordinary person might.
But she's still got a place to stay, right?
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or travel. In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal, but now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalor the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and lead a normal life.
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro Dragon?
After Focalor passed
Akkor
on,
igazából mi megvan az
the
ereje.
has also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by myself.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Udex, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty, in a manner of speaking, you could say that both were granted to me. As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Udex shall coexist within my person. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce indemnitium.
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro Archon, wasn't it? Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay. Where are they getting their energy?
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really quite useful, huh?
OP vagy.
I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Na, about Fontaine's Gnosis.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now, and avoid unnecessary conflict.
What complicated considerations! Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of gratitude to the knave and as an apology.
Oké, én megértem. De még mindig...
I'll tell you the truth as I know it.
Na de várjál, most itt nem mondta el, hogy mit mondott neki Skirk. Itt nem mondja el? Akkor azt hol mondja el? About the next stop.
We'll soon be heading to Natlan, I presume.
Natlan! Hát, arra még egy kicsit várhatunk.
Talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
Nation of Dragons. Így van.
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, The dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation
de kíváncsi leszek Natlanra is.
war ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the knave that I believe may be useful to you. The harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a Fatui harbinger doing their thing.
Melyik a Captain? Ez ő? Ez ő. Oké. Ő neki nem tudjuk a pozícióját, hogy hányadik. Hányadik Harbinger.
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you.
Ne aggódj, növi!
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know.
Na de várjál, most nem mondta el, hogy mit mondott neki Skirk. Halló? Mersz átverté? Nem is mondott neki semmit, Skirk, vagy ezt hol derül ki? Na, most mondja el.
When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that your attitude towards giving away the Gnosis had clearly changed. We guessed that there might be some reason for it that only you were aware of.
No wonder the House of the Hearth is the Fatui's intelligence division. They are certainly sharp. So regarding this specific issue, I was just getting ready to share something with you.
What is it?
In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Igen, hadd halljam. Hadd halljam.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on. You hurry over soon as well, all right, Nervalet?
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power. What it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. Something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. It's quite a novel blend. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what you speak of.
Ah, of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Hä? Mi van? Na várjál, akkor ezek a Descenderök olyanok, mint mi, lényegében, és mi vagyunk a negyedik Descenderök, akik Teyvat világán kívülről érkeztek Teyvatba. És Naida mondta azt korábban, hogy szerinte a Heavenly Principles az első ilyen Descender. Most nyilván nem derül ki, hogy ki a harmadik, de akkor lényegében egy olyan személy, mint mi, akik Teyvaton kívülről érkeztek Teyvatba. És valószínűleg ugye a Heavenly Principle is egy ilyen Descender, és valószínűleg ő az első. Oké. Csak hogy tudjam, hogy mégis kik azok a Descenderök. Elvileg nem tudjuk, hogy ki a második, meg a harmadik sem. Elvileg. Itt a Genshin Wikipédián azt írja. És elvileg a harmadik ilyen Descender készítette a gnóziszokat. The second who came. Second throne of the heavens. Who was the next entity to come from beyond this world. They waged war against the primordial one, which wreaked massive destruction throughout the world and caused Enkanomia to sink underwater. However, the book authors summarize the second who came lost, returned to the surface to the... Aha! The traveler's sibling is not considered a descender, despite coming from the Sea of Stars with the traveler. Furthermore, their travels throughout Teyvat following have been recorded in Herman's soul, leading Naida to conclude that they originate from... Durva dolgok vannak, basszus, basszus, micsoda lore, gyerekek.
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me, but I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Fowl, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense. Which is why there are so many problems in our attempts to communicate with humans. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling you. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had with this world shall all turn to curses.
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my personal thoughts. And my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Akkor lesz next time. Okay.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
Ó, biztos.
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger then.
Lehet, hogy el vannak átkozva ezek a nóziszok?
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third descender? So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here.
Okay, értjük, növület, értjük. The Descender, she mentioned one of them. Így van. One, that the Gnosis are related to Descenders, and two, that the one who came before me has already died.
I guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special compatibility, right? No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels creepy, comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the answers then.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
All right. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine's over for now.
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were for this moment as well.
But She sacrificed herself in the end as a god, and she suffered through all those years as a human. Was that really what she wanted?
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, they will one day return to the earth as raindrops. Life flows like water, and rain is the final answer. The water levels may sometimes tilt one way or another, but the rain falls fairly upon all. And what, ultimately, is the difference between the rains that fall upon all of us?
Na, hivatalosan is végigvittük? Hivatalosan is végigvittük.